This video will show you how to install Ubuntu Server into a VirtualBox VM. To get the Ubuntu Server, go up to ubuntu.com/download/server. The current server version is 16.04.3 LTS. It's good to keep the LTS versions because you can upgrade from one LTS version to another without any problems. So I recommend using that. In this case, I've already downloaded it, so the only thing I have to do is actually mount the ISO as if I've got it on a regular CD or a DVD for my system to read from the VirtualBox. So I've already got it. I'll select it here. I'll hit OK. Once this is done, you can either hit Start up here or you can double-click on the Ubuntu server. It doesn't matter, whichever. I will double-click, and that will start my virtual environment up. Once my virtual environment comes up, I'm going to choose English because that's what I speak, and I'm just going to install the Ubuntu server. It'll go through the boot up process, ask me some questions, and then we'll see how we install everything from here. Use English, United States, that's where I'm located. I'll tell it what keyboard because that's easier than trying to detect, and then I'll let it just go ahead and it'll start to install. Okay, the next question I asked is for a host name. This is just for the system. It doesn't deal with DNS. It just gives the system name. I'll choose the default for it. I'll create me a user right now, and I'm just going to use the term user for the full name and the account as user. It's probably best to use lowercase letters for your username. It just tends to work better. I will set the password up, and I will re-enter the password, and then do you want to encrypt the home directory? It's probably not a good thing to always encrypt the home directory because you have to keep the keys around. That can create a problem for backup, and if you lose the keys, you've got all sorts of problems. But this is also a lab system. That may change in a business situation based off of policy and other procedures, but for now, I'm just going to say don't encrypt it, and I'm going to let it install. Now, it just says, here's what we recognize as your time zone. Do you want to accept it? I say yes and let it go on its way. Now, the partitioning we're going to do is we're going to use the entire disk. I don't like to use LVM. LVM is for if you're in a production environment, you need to add extra disk space. You can mount the volumes automatically and make it very seamless. In this case, it's a lab, so I'm just going to do entire without the LVM. I just don't need the LVM here. It'll ask for the SCSI device, so I'll let it take it. The partitions that it chooses by default will be good enough for what I need to do, so I just select yes and let it write it and actually install from here. At this point, we have no proxy server on this network, so I'll just say OK and let it go. Now, since this is just basically a lab system, I'm going to not do automatic updates. If it was a production system, you might have to change this based off of your procedures and policies. The only thing that I'm going to add to these servers that I usually do is I want to add an open SSH server. This way I can actually SSH into the server and I can use the remote access. This also allows me to have copy and paste, since using the terminal window from VirtualBox copy and paste doesn't always work. Now at this point, it'll ask to install the Grub bootloader. This is the default bootloader that comes with Ubuntu and many Debian distributions. Great bootloader. Just go ahead and hit OK and let it go ahead and install Grub. Now the installation is complete. So by hitting continue, what will happen is VirtualBox will take that ISO image we've got mounted, it'll unmount it, and it'll reboot the system, and then we can actually see the boot up of the system and log in because we're done with the install. Now that the system has restarted, I'll log in with the user we created during the install process, give the password, and I've logged in. This is how you actually install and run your version of Linux in VirtualBox.